Shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom from our home here. We're live.
Shabbat shalom.
And Chodesh Tov. Welcome to our Torah study with me, myself, Rabbi Steinkoken, and my husband, Daniel Steinkoken. And today, today from inside for the first time because it got hot. So, we are entering the month of Iyar, and before we really get started with our Torah reading, I want to just point out briefly that in Israel, this Shabbat is also called Shabbat Tekuma, the Shabbat of building up, or of rising, or of, as one of my colleagues coined it, Shabbat of revival, or translated it, I have to say, Shabbat of revival, because we find ourselves right now in the modern Hebrew calendar between last week's commemoration with Yom HaShoah and this coming week, the commemoration with Yom HaZikaron and the celebration with Yom HaAtzmaut of the refounding of a Jewish state, of becoming, after the tragedy and disaster of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, the revival and reestablishing of a Jewish sovereignty, of the Jewish state in the land of Israel. And so we are in the Shabbat in between. And some people see this as, parallel almost to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, like Shabbat Shuvah. Here we have a Shabbat where we're in this mini period of reflection and of celebration. Yom Kippur is also, after all, in the very end, a very happy holiday, a holiday of comfort, of being re-alive, especially at the end after this process of we go from Yom Kippur right into Sukkot with the festival of joy. And so while Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are a phase of 10 days of introspection, Aseret Yemei HaTshuvah, introspection, looking at ourselves, doing cheshbon nefesh, right? Introspection of what can we improve individually. The Yamim Noraim are really focused on the individual, standing before God. Here in this phase, we can look at this as a collective introspection, right? A communal introspection. And so a colleague of mine, Rabbi Mordechai Rotem in Israel, suggested to name this period as Shivat Yamei Te'udah, 7 days of bearing witness to what we have accomplished as a people and a nation, and to do a communal introspection of where could we improve. And he writes, I quote, "During the 7 days of bearing witness, the nation of Israel needs to collectively examine itself, check from year to year how well we are fulfilling the destiny that has fallen to us, the legacy of death of the Holocaust, and the legacy of life of Independence Day. During these 7 days, it is appropriate to engage in introspection and self-reflection about how we measure up to this destiny that stands before us, to build the future." And he's in Israel, so he writes, "to build the future of the nation of Israel. These 7 days of bearing witness need to apply to the individual, but especially to the society and its public institutions. So these, like the days of repentance in Tishrei, this is an opportunity for us to do a collective introspection. And I want to just remind you, Israel, no matter where we stand politically and how complicated it is and how many critique points we could give, the rebirth of Israel as a state is also a tremendous success story, right? In such a short time, the creation of a Jewish public culture that operates in a Jewish time with a Jewish language and according to Jewish values is revolutionary, even though sometimes the politics of the day to day seem a little overwhelming and very difficult for the state of Israel right now. But I do think there's a lot of success in the last 72 years. And it's just marvelous that we came to this as a people after 2,000 years of not having a state, to reinvent what it means to be Jewish in a very concrete national level or scale. So I want you, despite all this Corona crisis, and even Israel is hit hard, I want you to keep this in mind this week as we're heading in the middle of the week into Yom HaAtzmaut. Let us remember the people of the Shoah who fell in the Shoah and who fell in the wars of Israel. And let us also celebrate the accomplishments that we have. And so aside from all the things that are going on, I want to, on this Rosh Chodesh is always a joyous occasion. I want to remind us today to look out and look at this marvel of Israel that we have achieved as a Jewish nation in Shabbat Skuma. And we'll go later when we get to our parasha. I'll try to make a few more connections about this introspection. But I want to also today look at or keep in mind the joy that we can have and the joy as a Jewish people that we have a state for ourselves. And that's not in a nationalistic way that I'm saying this, but as a gratitude that we can have a backbone where Jewish culture, Hebrew language, a Jewish calendar is existing and in a sense being our spine, supporting us all wherever we are in the world. So this week we can also celebrate a little bit. But let's, I hope you agree with me. Mm-hmm. Let's start our Torah reading, our Torah service, explore a little bit more about the Parashat HaShavua. It is Tazria, Metzora. And believe me, this is great this year. For the first time, I have understood this parasha a little bit with more empathy. So we'll look into that in a minute. But let's start with the prayer to wish that we find insight, and that I wish also that I can teach you today. And with the bracha for studying Torah. In God do I put my trust. Unto God's holy name and precious being do I utter praise. Open my heart to your Torah. Answer my prayers and the prayers of all your people Israel for goodness, for life, and for peace. And let us say, Amen. ולשמי קדישה, קדישה יקירה, אנא אמר תושבחם, בענה וחץ, בענה Kadisha Yakira Ana Emaltu Shpechan Yehi Ra'ava Kadamach V'tiftach libi be'oraita V'tashlim mish'alin belibi V'liba dechol amach Yisrael Letavul chaim v'lishlam. Amen. Let's say the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok v'divrei Torah. And today, as I said, Tazria Metzora. We are in the triennial reading at Bethel, and so we will start in Sefer Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 12. That's the beginning of Tazria, and it's a double portion, and I'm not going to go into this why it has to do with the calendar. Tazria, Metzora, those two portions are all about what we tzara'at, what we commonly translate as leprosy. It's actually not connected, I believe, the academics tell us, to the leprosy as we know it medically. But it's a skin disease. It's a disease that affects hair, skin. It can also affect clothes, and it can also affect houses. And it's a disease that is very contagious. And the only way that our ancient biblical Israelite society was able to contain it and fight it was to put people into self-quarantine or isolation, which back then didn't mean to stay inside your house and inside the city, but rather meant to be put outside the machane, the camp in the desert, or outside the city walls, which I've always found, I've always struggled with these two parashiot because they seem to so cruel to the individual. But I think one of the things that I feel now that we live through a period where we are trying as a society and as the whole world fighting a very contagious disease, I have a little bit more, I would say, maybe empathy for understanding how, why this is so important, and the possible, why is it so important to put people outside in isolation? And I think we all can understand that a bit more. Now, before we start reading, I'm going to suggest, I suggested to Daniel that he'll read us the whole thing in one piece, because all this is about is details and details and details of different kinds of what could be ta'ara, leprosy. It starts out in chapter 12 with a short chapter of how a woman who gave birth needs to be separated, sit for herself out of menstrual purity laws, and then come back. So in that sense, it's similar. She is not allowed to be in proximity to the mikdash, to the temple. She cannot enter the worship until her period, the period of her impurity after giving birth is over, and she'll be reaccepted. She'll bring offerings and be reaccepted. So in that sense, it's parallel. That's chapter 12, very short chapter. But then chapter 13 and the rest of these two parashiot are really dealing with this skin disease. And what I've noticed for the first time this year reading it under the subtext of COVID-19 and our measurements that we have in place all over the world, is this parasha is not about scapegoating, it's not about pointing the finger of why did you get this punishment, why are you afflicted with disease. No, not at all. It's actually very strongly, I believe now, about reintegration. And even though the measurements are hard and somebody is pushed out of society and pushed away for the time that one fears that this could be tzara'at, leprosy, I want to point out to you, pay attention that after every detail, first of all, the text comes in not with like, oh, you have some kind of affliction on your skin, and that's why we have to put you in quarantine, and that's it. Deal with it yourself. No, the Torah gives details over details, what exact color, how the hair looks, how deep the skin is, laceration, you say in English, how deep it is, how it spreads, what discoloration it has, right? It's not a quick look. It takes every single case. If it looks like this, then it if it looks like this, then it and at the end of every single kind of different type of occurrence that might be leprosy, yes, you have to go in quarantine, but the priest needs to check on you after 7 days or after 14 days and see if it has changed and see if it is healed, right? And that's after every single case that they mention. So what I detect there, now that we live under COVID-19, is actually an attempt to be really sure of who is affected, and if it's an end of making sure that the person who's affected doesn't stay outside, but be brought in, come back to the priest, be rechecked, right? And the moment the priest can determine that it has stopped or that it's on the way of healing, then there's a whole process of readmittance, of washing clothes, of bathing, of offerings that are given. And these offerings, even though they're an offering of expiation and an offering of olah, of a burnt offering, expiation is not about this is because you got this disease because of some kind of sin you've admitted, you committed. No, it's the same that the woman who gave birth brings. It's the same that anybody brings. It means the one offering is for you're in good standing with God, you're in good standing and you're back into worship. And the other one is the olah, is you are completely readmitted into society and into your standing. So I think this is a parasha where we nowadays understand, yes, we have to take drastic measures. We have to be careful. This is a threat to our community, and we need to take precautions. But it's about trying to reintegrate and readmit, and there's a strong focus on that. And the text never even once, the biblical text, the pshat, never even once asks about how did you get this? What is your responsibility in getting this? What is your fault? There is no scapegoat. There's no punishment. It's a fact. It's a simple fact that you have this, that this is around, and what can we do as a society to ensure the safety of our dwellings so that this disease cannot spread? And how can we make it possible for you to come back when you're healed? So let's read, and then maybe later a few more words of thoughts on a few things in the parasha. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. I should have said the pages. Okay, so again, Vayikra Leviticus 12. We start out with the Yoledet, with Tazria. On the Etz Chaim Humash, it's on page 649. Go ahead, take it away.
וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל לאמור, אישה כי תזריע וילדה זכר, וטמאה 7 ימים, כי מי נידת אבותה תטמא, וביום השמיני ימול בשר עולתו, 30 יום ו3 ימים, תשב בדמי טהרה, בכל קודש לא תיגע, ואל המקדש לא תבוא, עד מלאת ימי טהרה. ואם נקבה תלד, וטמאה 7 כלידתה, ו60 יום ו6 ימים, תשב על דמי טהרה, ובמלאת ימי טהרה, לבן או לבת תביא כבש בן שנתו לעולה, ובן יונה או תור לחטאת, אל פתח או למועד אל הכהן, והקריבו לפני אדוני, וכיפר עליה בטהרה ממקור דמיה. זאת תורת היולדת לזכר או לנקבה, אם לא תמצא ידה תעשה ולקחה 2 תורים או 2 בני יונה, אחד לעולה ואחד לחטאת, וכיפר עליה הכהן וטהרה.
Okay, now we are in beginning with chapter 13. And in the Etz Chaim Chumash, page 651.
וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור, אדם כי יהיה בעור בשרו שאת או ספחת או בהרת, וירא בעור בשרו לנגע צרת, והובא אל אהרון הכהן או אל אחד מבניו הכהנים, וראה הכהן את הנגע בעור הבשר, ושיער בנגע הפך לבן, ומראה הנגע עמוק מעור בשרו, נגע צרת הוא, וראהו הכהן וטימא אותו, ואם בהרת לבנה היא בעור בשרו, ועמוק מראיה מן האור, ושערה לא הפך לבן, והזכיר הכהן את הנגע 7 ימים, וראהו הכהן ביום השביעי, והנה הנגע עמד בעיניו, לא פצע הנגע בעור, והזכירו הכהן 7 ימים שנית.
Just to point out, we just read this. Look at this. This is in verse. If it's a clear case of tzarat, we have to put him into quarantine, right? Or in isolation, because we don't have a cure, right? But then in verse 4, if it's not sure, right, we put the person into quarantine and we wait 7 days, and then we check. And if this thing stopped to grow or something like that, right? That's how I would see it, right? If the affection has remained unchanged in color and the disease has not spread on the skin, the priest, then you do another 7 days, 14 weeks, 14 days, sounds familiar, right? And then on the other 7 days, after the 14th days, and that's what Daniel's gonna keep reading, and if it has faded or has not spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce him pure. This is what I'm talking about. It's not about expelling the lepers. I mean, it is in a sense, but it's like, it's checking in. It's making sure that this person that we're talking about is seen as an individual. And if the case is not clear cut, if we don't have a complete 100% diagnosis, and that this is indeed the leprosy, then we're gonna help this person to to be checked in and to be reintegrated and to be readmitted and go through the come back. Okay, let's keep reading.
Verse 6. וראה הכהן אותו ביום השביעי שנית, והנה כהנגע, ולא פסע הנגע בעור, וטיהרו הכהן משפחת היא, וכיבס בגדיו וטהר, ועם פסו תפסה המשפחת בעור, אחרי הראותו אל הכהן לטהרתו, ונראה שנית אל הכהן, וראה הכהן, והנה פסתה משפחת בעור, ותימו הכהן צרעת היא, נגע צרעת, כי תהיה באדם, והוא בא אל הכהן, וראה הכהן, והנה שד לבנה בעור, והיא הפכה שיער לבן, ומחיית בשר חי בשאת, צד נושנת היא באור בשרו, וטמאו הכהן לא יזכירנו, כי טמא הוא. ועם הרוח תפרח הצרת בעור, וכיסתה הצרת את כל אור הנגע מראשו ועד רגליו, וכל מראה עיני הכהן, וראה הכהן, והנה הסתה הצרת את כל בשרו, וטיהר את הנגע, כולו הפך לבן טהור הוא, וביום הראות בו בשר חי יטמא, וראה הכהן את הבשר החי וטימאו, הבשר החי טמא הוא צד הוא, וכי ישוב הבשר החי ונפח ללבן, ובא אל הכהן, וראהו הכהן, והנה נפח הנגע ללבן, וטיהר הכהן את הנגע טהור הוא, ובשר תהיה בו באורו שכין, ונרפא, והיה במקום השכין שד לבנה, ובהרת לבנה אדם דמת, ונראה אל הכהן, וראה הכהן, והנה מראה השפל מן האור, ושערה הפך לבן, וטימאו הכהן, נגע צרת היא בשכין פרחה, ואם יראנה הכהן, והנה אין בה שיער לבן, ושפלה איננה, ושפלה איננה מן האור, והיא חיה, והזכירו הכהן 7 ימים, עם פסו תפסה בעור, וטימא הכהן אותו נגע היא, ואם תחתיה תעמוד הבהרת לא פצעת, צרבת השכין הוא היא, ותיארו הכהן או בשר, כי יהיה באורו מחדש, והייתה מחיית המחווה בהרת, לבנה אדם דמת או לבנה, וראה אותה הכהן, והנה נפח שיער לבן בבהרת, ומראה עמוק מן האור, צרת היא במחווה פרחה, וטימא אותו הכהן, נגע צרת היא, ואם יראנה הכהן, והנה אין בבהרת שיער לבן, ושפלה איננה מן האור, והיא חיה, והזכירו הכהן 7 ימים, וראו הכהן ביום השביעי, עם פסו תפסה באור, וטימא הכהן אותו נגד צרת היא.
Okay, I wanted to just point out here, or stop you. I'm sorry that I stopped you so abruptly. This is now a case where there might have been a burn, like some other affection, some other injury, and we're not sure. So I find it just amazing that we're spending so much time about this in all the different details, and every single time we're trying to focus on the process of reestablishing an entry into the community. And yes, it's harsh. Yes, this person is disconnected for 7 days, for 14 days. I would believe the way this works is, if it's not cleared up yet, they check in every 7 days, I would almost say. What do you think? It looks like there is a cycle kind of thing of like, you need to wait, and that's certainly connected to the medical knowledge back then, right? But I think there's an idea of, see how the symptoms change. I just find this still amazing, looking at it from this perspective. And we'll go on now, I believe, into these points of now, if you have it in the hair, if you have it in the beard, if you have it in different places, right? What happens then? And what I meant to say is that I think we can empathize these days on both levels, on the individual level and on the societal level. So in a sense of saying, I might have a cough, I might have a sniffle, I don't know what this is yet, or, and so I need to stay home. It's really important that I stay home and not go out there, not be selfish, but stay home. And we've all learned that lesson, I hope, very well in the last few weeks. But it's hard. It's so hard. We all want to go back. And I think our leaders, our politicians, our economists, there's a huge, huge desire to open up, to reopen, to get society functioning again. And I do also think this year, I read this also in what kind of a tremendous pressure is there on the priest to keep checking in and keep the system in place. And the leadership needs to say, no, you need to still stay out. You cannot come back in. We need to make sure that we have fought this disease, that this disease will not be able to spread. And you can see the parallels here, one-on-one, what I'm talking about, right? It must be also tremendous responsibility. And as society in total, I would say there's also an aspect of, finding the right balance, us individuals and our leadership, of what is selfish, determining what is a selfish interest that would ultimately endanger if we are coming back together too quickly, and or what is the right, and or as a society helping each other, making the right decisions, right? Okay, our kids are here coming out for breakfast, so I'm sorry, I got a little distracted, but let's keep reading and then I'll refine my thoughts. Shabbat Shalom.
תבוא. ואם תחתיה תמור הבארת, לא פסתה באור והיא חיה, זאת המחווה היא, ותיארו הכהן, כי צרבת המחווה היא, ואיש או אישה תהיה בו נגע, בראש או בזקן, וראה הכהן את הנגע, והנה מראהו עמוק מן האור, ובו שיער צהוב דק, וטימא אותו הכהן נתקוהו, צרת הראש, או הזקן הוא, וכי יראה הכהן את נגע הנתק, והנה אין מראהו עמוק מן האור, ושיער שחור אין בו, והסגיר הכהן את נגע הנתק 7 ימים, וראה הכהן את הנגע ביום השביעי, והנה לא פצע הנתק, ולא היה בו שיער צהוב, ומראה הנתק אין עמוק מן האור, והתגלח, ונתק לא יגלח, והסגיר הכהן את הנתק 7 ימים שנית, וראה הכהן את הנתק ביום השביעי, והנה לא פסע הנתק באור, ומראהו איננו עמוק מן האור, וטיהר אותו הכהן, וכיבס בגדיו וטהר, עם פרצו יפסה הנתק באור, אחרי טהרתו, וראהו הכהן, והנה פצע הנתק באור, לא יבקר הכהן, לשיער הצהוב טמא הוא, ואם בעיניו עמד הנתק, ושיער שחור צמח בו, נרפא הנתק טהור הוא, וטיהרו הכהן, ואיש או אישה יהיה בעור בשרם, בהרות לבנות, וראה הכהן, והנה בעור בשרם, בהרות כהות לבנות, בוהק הוא, פרח באור טהור הוא.
Yesher Koach, thank you. And I want to just point out that, you know, the text and our Aliyah, our triennial cycle, ends here with the cases, and there's two more, I believe, where it's clear that he's pure. So there is, you know, a procession from starting out with what is clearly leprosy. That's maybe 2-3 verses, right? Then we have lots and lots of ambiguous scenarios where we need to have this period invading, and then we end with 2 or 3 short clear diagnosis or deep definitions of when it is definitely not tzara, leprosy. And what I meant to say when I lost my red thread beforehand about the societal responsibility is that we have to trust the process and the priest, right? There's every time, it's not just so when it stopped, when the growth stopped, when the discoloration stopped, it's not just about, okay, then you come back. But there is also, if you look, you know, at verse 37 or earlier, right? Once the priest sees, you come back for the check-in, and once the priest can determine that the disease has stopped spreading, that's when he declares or pronounces the person pure. So this is also, in terms of societal responsibilities, I think a very clear-cut message. We got to trust the system. We got to trust the professionals. And, you know, sort of to say, we made sure that this is not going to continue. We've waited maybe a little longer than necessary. 7 days can be a long time for the person who is in that isolation. And to do this repeatedly certainly is. And so I think this asks a lot of patience from us today in these days. Here in Arizona, it's a month almost that we had a stay-home order, right? If I remember correctly. But we need to trust that we did enough that it doesn't spread anymore. And so this is something where we need a lot of patience, and we need trust. And here I want to just point out a thought that came to me. The priest, it's a Kohen. Now, given or, no matter if they had doctors or not, but the Kohen is sort of, it's a leadership that is a combined leadership. It's a religious leadership. It's also, in some regards, political. It's also medical. There's a combination here. And I think we can take that. In ancient society, often priests, or we know from history that sometimes religion takes over the role of leadership or authority. And I think for me today, all these roles combined in this Kohen is also a way for me of seeing this as we need to trust all the experts. We need to trust, we need to make sure that we have the right leadership in place, or strengthen our leadership from all aspects, the medical one, the political leadership, right? The medical knowledge needs to be able to inform our political leadership to make the right decision. Now, where do we come in as the normal people, as the people like you and me, who are not in these roles? And that's where I want to just say briefly something about how how I think this parasha has also something to do with a balance between selfishness and selflessness, right? If the priest would admit the person too quickly for some reason, because this hasn't distinguished, and this parasha just says a man or a woman. But what if they're rich people who are needed to keep the economy going? Or what if it's a tribal leader? This isn't discussed at all, right? What if the person has influence in a strong family who wants to have them back, right? So it's really an equalizer also in this thing that is telling us we are all in this together. And selfishness and self-interest doesn't help us at all. And going too quickly about it doesn't help us at all. In a crisis like this, we need to do, wherever we are, we need to be patient enough, be it as the priest, or be it as the afflicted person, or be it as the family member, or the neighbor who needs to have this person back, needs to be patient and wait and create a safe environment. And there's a lot about selfishness and not being selfish, self-interest and the interest of the community. And here I want to make a big jump back to where we are at in this Shabbat Tkuma, in our collective, that I said before at the beginning, our collective sense of introspection. Let's use this time of COVID-19 to use this time as an introspection for our community, to look, what are the good things that we have achieved, and what are the not so great things where our selfishness and self-interest has hurt us, right? Just think of the beginning, how some people went ahead and just stocked up. Of course, I can understand that somebody is afraid of not having enough hand sanitizer or not having enough toilet paper. right? But then to go ahead and not think of your neighbor or the other people in the city who might need this. And then on the next, this is just one example, very concrete example, but you can apply this to any other example also. And then for the stores to let people walk out with 10 huge packages of toilet paper, and only after there's far too little supply make rules of when there's more vulnerable populations coming into the store, and when there is and to limit how many units you can get of any one product. And I don't blame the stores, and I don't want to blame the owners. I want to take this as a marker of, here in the very beginning, we have failed. We as a society have failed. We weren't thinking enough about the greater good and the greater good of each person within the society, that everyone can have enough and everyone can stay safe. That is something, I think, when we come out of this, when our leaders will proclaim it is safe to come back, that we should keep in mind. This is something that we need to say. This is where we need to improve. And how can we improve this, right? So that we build a society where not just the few or the quick or the smart or the lucky ones get their share, but ensure that everyone is in this together and can have their share and their part. That would be the part of introspecting into what is not so great. And then on Parashat Tkuma, on Shabbat Tkuma, we can also think and reflect on the good part that we have accomplished. How many people have reached out to each other? It's wonderful to see. How many people have reconnected to loved ones because you couldn't attend in person, but you could be in Zoom with somebody else, and all of a sudden you have bigger family reunions for some, in some cases, right? How many people have lent a hand? How many businesses have helped in certain ways? We've learned new things. We've learned new things in our community, definitely as a synagogue, how to learn the technology and use the technology to reach more. We've reached out to more people. We've also learned to show up at Bethel here, for example, for the daily minyan. Yes, it's easier to be at home and switch on the little tablet that you have, but it's also an acknowledgement of, like, in a time like this, we are looking for community and we want to create community. And we have such a beautiful daily minyan where we have a lot of people, and every day, almost every day, we have more than 10. We have a chesed committee that is making phone calls, devoted volunteers who are making phone calls to people almost weekly, right? We have, and so from all those good experiences and the negative experience and the failures that we have, I think this parasha is maybe sort of, and this Shabbat in between the disaster of our Jewish history and the revival of our Jewish history. We as a community in the US, we as a US community, we can look and we can see what are our failures, where we need to improve, and how can we help each other in this, in safe ways. And one thing I want to just mention of how we can even help further amidst all the beautiful things that already grew out of this is that the board met last week, and we've decided that to try to help the businesses of our members, right? If you send us your digital ad, we'll put it on our website, and we'll encourage everybody here, we'll encourage members to help other members who have sustained losses, financial losses, right? So if you are in a position where you still have your regular salary, think about how you can help the people close to you, our other members, your family members, your friends, how you can help them to get over the financial and material crisis. If somebody has a job loss, how can you help? How can you hold a hand? Because then we will come out of this ultimately stronger as a community, right? And this is where I go beyond this parasha. The priest has an integrating role, checking in and bringing people back. But I think, and this is what the parasha hasn't focused on, but all these people who are the bystanders or who are just in the society, making sure that somebody who was affected deeply, making sure to bring them in, making sure to look out even now for those people who you haven't heard from because they're so isolated. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe their hope is fading. Maybe they don't endure. Check on them, right? Make sure that we can emerge from this crisis in a modus of revival, in a modus of being a better, a more humane society. And with that, these thoughts, I want to lead us into our prayers for healing. And I want to start out with a prayer for people who feel very much alone these days. Maybe like those people who sit for 7, 14, 21 days in isolation. Maybe like that person who waits of being healed. Because I personally have struggled this week also a lot with thoughts of how long can this go on? How long can we stay? So I want to read something from a wonderful book that I'm reading right now, To Begin Again, from Rabbi Naomi Levy, who is a rabbi and teacher in Los Angeles. It's called The Journey Towards Comfort, Strength, and Faith in Difficult Times. And I want to read a short paragraph and then a prayer that she composed as she went through a lot of tragedy in her life herself. If we keep our eyes open long enough in the darkness, things will begin to take shape before us. We can learn things about ourselves that we never thought possible. We can uncover the wisdom and compassion which God has bestowed upon us that have been lying dormant within our souls, right? We can use this time, even if we're in the darkness and we're struggling and we have lost loved ones and we cannot connect to people in the way we usually do. We can take this as a time of introspection and try to find things that are lying dormant within our souls. We can locate a source of strength within our being that is eternal and unending. In time, we will emerge from the dark place we are in, and we will carry with us the lessons of the darkness into each and every day of our lives. I agree with her, and I agree that this is also a little bit with this parsha. It gives us a manual how to come back, at least a symbol of a manual. Here's the prayer for all of us who feel the darkness closing in on them more than the other things. I am tired of waiting, God. I have suffered for too long and I am beginning to lose hope. I turn to you now, God, to put an end to this agony. If relief is not near, Give me the patience and the strength to continue to dwell in the darkness, to face this time of suffering with courage and dignity and faith. And let us say, Amen. And now we'll pray for all those who are in need of healing, physical, spiritual, emotional healing. We'll include everyone. We have a long list here at Bethel, and it grows. But at the end of the list of names, you can also still add other names that I have not mentioned. And if I forgot someone, please let me know during the week, not on Shabbat. After Shabbat, write me an email at rabbi@bethelphoenix.com. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים אהרון פנחס בן גולדה אריה בן פייגל אביבה פייגה בת שרה אידל אברהם אליעזר זאב בן רייזל אברהם ברוך בן בתיה רחל אברהם בן דבורה בשי בת רחל בינה יוכבד בת גיטל חיים ישראל צבי בן שרה חנה בת לאה חנה פייגה בת יהודית, דוד בן חיה, אלקה בת חנה, דוד בן מרים, דוב אברהם בן יהודית דבורה לוי, אלישבע בת שרה, אליזה בת שרה, אמונה בת גרדה, פריידל בת יתתשה, חסן שלמה בן רחל, לאה בת מלכה, לאה בת שרה, לאה זלדה בת עדל רשע, ליפשה אהבה בת אליסה, מאירה בת הרב מעיין דבורה, מעיין ניצן דבורה, מנדל בן גולדה, מרים בת אסתר, מרים בת נחמה חיה, משה אנצו בן רוחליה, משה בת פייגה לאה, נחמה בת בנימין, נחמה בת ברוכה, פנחס בן חנה, רחמן אליה בן שרה רבקה, רינה ליאת בת חסיה, ראובן בן הינדה רבקה, שיינדל בת חווה, שלומית אילנה בת עליזה דבורה, שרגא פייבל בן פרידה מלכה, שמחה ישראל בן צורה חנה, ציפורה חיה, בת רבקה בלומה, תמר מרים רות בת שרה, יהודית מלכה בת רבקה בלומה, יחידת לאה בת בשה, יונתן בן חווה, יוסף בן מרים דבורה, יעקב ידין בן עדה דוידה עננית, עדה דוידה בת שושנה אסתר רייזל, חווה מלכה בת מרים, דוד שמואל בן שרה מרים, and Abraham Mandel, Amanda Michael, Anthony Arce, Barb Crow, Betsy Roberts, Brett Ellen Isaac, Brady Edwell, Brian Hill, Kitaya Castillo, Dana Amato, Deborah Hickman, David Shepses, Fiona Morris, Francine Eisner, Gary Mestman, Gilda Harris, Henry Rodriguez, Jamie Isif, Jan Lesman, Joby Gain, John Scott, Lawrence Mintz, Leah Palin Hill, Leah Abramovitz, Linda Moscow, Melissa Morettini, Keith Nash, Mark Silverstein, Rena Freeman, Ronnie Schwartz, Stephanie Reeson, Stu Katz, Susan Quintero, Sydney Goller, Walter Scher, and may the Holy One in kindness strengthen them and heal them speedily, body and soul, together with all others who are ill. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחזיקם ולרפאותם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה לכל איבריהם וגידיהם, בתוך שאר חולי ישראל, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, ונאמר אמן. And I'm still adding every week the Mishaberach for our caregivers. And please, if you have a caregiver that you know of, add the name as I pause in a few lines. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, physicians and nurses and orderlies, technicians and home health aides, EMTs and pharmacists, and especially who navigate the unfolding dangers of the world each day, to tend to those who have sworn to help. Bless them in their coming home and bless them in their going out. Ease their fear, sustain them, source of all breath, healer of all beings. Protect them and restore their hope. Strengthen them, that they may bring strength. Keep them in health, that they may bring healing. Help them know again a time when they can breathe without fear. Bless the sacred work of their hands. May this plague pass from among us speedily and in our days. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
And we've been here now already for an hour. And I think we're going to conclude here with some prayers for our, and I think we're going to conclude here. Especially, I want to say the prayers for, now I don't find it, I think it's 148 usually, for our community, but especially for the state of Israel this week as we head in the Independence Day. And I know we haven't read the second Torah scroll for Rosh Chodesh, and I know we haven't really read the Haftarah yet, but I think this has been a long hour of talking about the Torah parasha, and so I want to end with the prayers for our community and the prayer for Israel, and then say Shabbat Shalom. And next year, we'll look a little closer at the Haftarah for this day. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את כל הקהל בקהילה שלנו, הם ומשפחותיהם, and everybody in our congregation, their family and friends. Bless them, all those who give kindly and are engaged to build a better society and better community, and stretch out their hand to others. May the Holy One reward them, remove sickness from them, heal them, and take care of them. May God bless them by making all their endeavors prosper, as well as those of the entire people of Israel. And let us say, Amen. אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, שתהא ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. הגן עליה בעזרת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך, ושלח אורך ועמיתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך. חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קדשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם. ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר אמן. And let's sing the prayer for peace, for that we usually sing just these two lines. May nation not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war no more. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, ונאמר amen. And it's almost the end of April, and it's a new Hebrew month, and it's the last month for some kids who would have had school before the summer. And we're heading into the last month of our fiscal year. And by the way, on May 3rd, we have a community meeting where you can over Zoom hear about all our last year. So there's a lot coming in the next week and in the next few weeks. A new month has started. And so usually and I believe the cantor already prayed this, or you prayed this morning. We all prayed it in the Amidah, but I want to just take these lines from the blessing of the new month, that may the Holy One bless this new month, this next period that comes upon us. Lechaim u'leshalom, with life and peace. Lesason u'lesimcha, for joy and gladness. Lishua u'lenechama, for deliverance, for help and comfort and consolation. Venomar, Amen. One last thing for those who may have not been able to tune in with the cantor. I just want to read the Yortzeit names of the 1st of ER today, together in the prayer instead of the mourner's Kaddish. And you can insert your name of the person that you grieve about or mourn about or hold in dear memory as when I make a pause. Ribono shel olam, Elohei haruchot lechol basar, Master of the world, God of the spirit of all flesh, it is revealed and known before you that it is our fervent desire to praise your name and to remember and honor. And here at Bethel, the Yortzeits of Marlo Dower, Samuel Deneroff, Sarah Gieser, Theodore Greenwald, Hilda Fox-Kane, Esther Rosenberg, Tilly Schiff, Jack Stamen, Roland Weiss, Anna Sack. And it's our desire to honor these people by reciting the Mourner's Kaddish in the company of a minyan. Though circumstances prevent me from doing so, may my yearning and prayers find favor in your eyes and be accepted and received before you as if I had prayed the Kaddish. May you grant hope and healing to all who suffer, and may we soon be able to once again safely gather in holiness and joy. May your name, Adonai, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign everywhere. Yehi shlom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Shabbat shalom to you from our home here. Yishar koach to Daniel for chanting and always being at my side to do these Shabbos mornings. Tonight we'll meet again at 7:45 for Haftalah here over YouTube. And then we'll lead that into 8 o'clock Omer count. And then all the weekly happenings are in our email, on our website, Minyan tomorrow morning, 8:15. Then there's Talmud Torah in session, and then Minyanim regular times. Okay, have a great Shabbat, have a safe rest. And I hope you find happiness and many, many reasons to feel wholesome and feel carried and taken care of. And look at the happy things that you can celebrate this week. And if you've sustained a loss, I want to tell you, or an injury, I want to tell you, may you be blessed with healing and recovery. And may Hashem yenachem etchem betoch shar avelei Zion Yerushalayim. May Hashem comfort you in your grief. Shabbat shalom.